So first of all, welcome to this hangout. Um, yeah. So Ramesh, I'm sorry, but could you please summarize your question once again?
All right, so we are like an startup company. So, and yes, we are like selling handcrafted and unique products, and that is from the local sellers. We are actually promoting those local sellers from the all over India. So we wanted sellers to come to our website and register themselves and start promoting their products. So we are also creating a shop for these sellers and wanted to promote those ones. So can we do something like making stores and then promoting these stores on the Google local business by adding the business to there and then mentioning the address of their local shops, and then for the web presence they can list our website as a, you can say, a virtual shop.
Right.
So
So as I understand, yeah, as I understand, your service is basically a platform for these small shop owners, right?
yeah,
And then you're asking if you could reflect those details in various platforms like Google Places, for example, Google Maps,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
Yes, definitely you can do that. And I assume you're giving a separate subdomain for each of these businesses.
Yeah.
Right.
If not necessarily subdomain, we are also providing a subfolder wise. So is it fine? I mean, it's necessary to having a subdomain, or can we do it with the subfolder wise?
Yes, absolutely. I don't think there should be any problem, right? You can definitely reflect all these details in various platforms and link back to their individual section on your website.
All right, cool.
All right.
Yeah, that's
So
one question.
let's just take each question we've got in the Q&A app, and just mute you. So if you have any question, do unmute yourself. Okay. First, we have a question from Neeraj. In VO2 redirects, if the redirect page lost indexing, should I understand that all the page rank is passed to the redirected page? I'm not sure. So if 302 pages generally aren't indexed in the first place. So if you mean like if there was a page that's newly being redirected to some other like new page, then yes, like Google, it's not like you had like 4 page rank here and you created a new page. Now you've like made 302 redirect. Doesn't mean the new page will get the same page rank, but we do consider that Webmaster has made a change in like address, and we'll understand that and reflect that same signals and everything. So does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So I like if we get an example of like a site suffering something like badly from like after making a change in address, then we can like maybe give any details on if there was some technical issue or something. But on a simple scale, if you just redirect a old page to a new page, there should, like, Google will generally understand that this webmaster has made a change in URL address or whatever, and like reflect the same in search results. So for the same relevant queries, you should still be ranking.
Yeah, and if it's a permanent redirect, then probably I would recommend using a 301 than a 302 because that is a more appropriate description of a permanent redirect.
So it's not like the numbers will exactly reflect same as the old page, but it shouldn't be a big difference. Okay. Next question. Next question is from Ramesh. Links are important for any site. Many small businesses struggle to get links from authority sites. How can small businesses get links naturally, as we can't ignore the fact that links are one of the most important factors? Well, yes, links are important, but you can, I mean, I'm not sure what kind of social you can use like other things like social media, branding campaigns, ad campaigns and stuff to like get your site popular and everything. But if you ask me like what exactly can I do to get all those links, then I'm not sure. Because like, I mean, I can say if if you're doing bad practice of link building, but I can't say you can. And it's not like a one tip that I give when you start building links, right? It's sort of a very long, drawn out process. So, like one thing, like I already said, is you can leverage the other media, like social media, where users come regularly. So you can use that to like get them to know your site, and if you can, if they are interested, maybe if they have websites, they'll probably link back to you if they think your site is good. That's one very obvious example of organic linking I know. But beyond that, a lot of people, many good sites do marketing campaigns, ad campaigns, just to get the site out there and so on. And you can also always like sponsored posts on other blogs where your content, you think, you can ask someone to like write a testimonial for you or something like that. And in those cases, you can always no follow the link so that it doesn't affect page rank, but still like people get to your site from different sources too. That should be fine.
Ashish, I mean, for going with the paid campaigns, I mean, the traffic is okay. I mean, Google is not worried about this thing, whether we are getting a link from a paid site or not. But I mean, when it comes to the authority of the website, so Google does give value if the links come from the paid campaigns, or the, I mean, that links come from, you can say, a blog and a well, or you can say trusted kind of experts in the industry, and they are actually linking back to us, even if there is no follow. So Google still pass that kind of value and authority to our website.
So page rank wise, no. Regarding authority, I honestly I'm not sure exactly how the algorithm works, but one thing I can say is like it's not just, we don't simply consider one or two standalone signals. It's sort of like, we look that, people are searching for a lot of, say, medical content on your site, and you have a lot of medical articles, and if there are a lot of different other reputed sources either linking to you and all that, and if they are organic, then maybe in that full context we can consider that your site is, say, an authority on like these medical queries. So, but there's no one single signal that like, so we have like two no followed links from a .edu site. That doesn't mean suddenly we consider your site as authoritative. It's a bunch of different signals, and I'd say like obviously you need to have good content, but beyond that, if you think, if you provided a good service to someone and if they write testimonial and they link back to you directly, that should be fine, even if the link is, not no follow, because it's something that they're doing out of their own volition, right? But obviously, like if we actually see if someone's being unscrupulous and they're getting a ton of these links from different sites, then that's something that we don't we consider as trying to manipulate our rankings, where we probably take action on those sites. Okay, next question is from Shivam. I got an error in Google search. This site may be hacked. What should I do? Hey Shivam, so like for hacked sites, we've been adding a lot of resources, and we've done quite a few campaigns on our Google Plus page too around no hacked. So first things I say, just go to google.com/webmasters/hack. There you have like basic steps on what to do when your site gets hacked. Beyond that, like you can just keep looking at a ton of resources we have to fix the hack on your site. And if you aren't sure, you can always like get some experts' help too. Okay, so quite a few people have joined while we've been answering questions. So if you have any live questions, please ask them. Unmute yourself and ask them. Welcome again. Okay, you'll take this question.
Okay, so David says, am I on the right track when I focus on improving number of returning visitors to my site, brand awareness, user engagement, and on my domain and writing content, so that when user lands on my page or site, he has found what he was looking for and can trust it? Yeah, I think that's definitely going in the right direction if you're focusing on your users and you're focusing on making your users come back to your sites. I think if they're doing that, that's a great signal that people are actually liking your site and you're providing them what they actually want. So yes, definitely that's a good thing.
Next one is David asks, should I disavow every link except when other people recommend my site on their website in an article or forum post? I mean, should I disavow every dofollow directory link to my site and also comment link if it's dofollow and uses my name as anchor? I mean, like if you think it's a targeted negative SEO campaign of some sort against you, like you can make that call. So I wouldn't say, so disavow is actually a sort of a, how do they say it, two-edged sword, I guess. Anyway, so it's sort of like, while you can disavow links that are negatively affecting your site that come from like targeted campaigns, either like your SEO has done something bad or like someone's doing negative SEO because they're a competitor. So that is, in that sense, it's good. But then on the other hand, you can make mistakes and actually remove genuine links to your website too. So that's actually bad for your site. So I think make a call, just like look at each article, look each link individually and see if it's really bad and part of a targeted campaign against you. On the other hand, if it's relevant, even if it comes from a directory, like it's not a bad thing, right? A lot of people put their sites in directories so that it's more visible to a lot of their users. So just take a call, look at each link individually. If you're having trouble finding links, you can always download a list of 1,000 links from your Search Console account.
In general, David, it is, I mean, you need not worry too much about links, right? Unless they are like very, very bad or coming from like very bad directories, and especially if they're like, using targeted keywords, for example, that to drive traffic and stuff like that. Then, for example, you mentioned that they're using your name, right? So using your personal name linking to your site is should not be a big issue, for example, right? So if you're saying links coming to your website from comment sections and your name is there and your name is linked to your website, that's absolutely fine. That's nothing to worry about.
So just think about it in terms of relevancy. I mean, if you're getting links to your site that has your name on it, that should be fine. But if it says something like, I don't know, buy Viagra online or some link like that is being sent to your website, then obviously that's not relevant, right? So those kind of links, and this is a very obvious example, but like just look for relevancy too.
Yeah, Sayed. Hi,
Hey,
Ashish. Yeah, Sayed, while talking to you, I have got this point that we should first of all focus on anchor text for links. As you said that if I have anchor text of my name, so there is no problem. But what is the definition of bad directories, as you said? Because all the directories have nothing but only links to other websites.
Okay, so regarding bad directories, I mean, honestly, it's very hard to identify which is a good directory and a bad directory. I mean, there are some obviously reputed directories, but then there are a lot of people who sort of like scrape content from other directories and auto-generate a lot of content on them. So from an end user, for you, it's pretty hard to understand which directory is good and bad. And it shouldn't if you just have some bad links from these directories to your website, honestly, it shouldn't be that big a deal, because we understand that it's not these directories are bad by themselves, and we disavow any sort of traffic you're getting from those directories ourselves. So it's like it shouldn't be a big worry for a webmaster, at least unless like he himself created tons of directories and has been linking to all a network of his websites. Then we probably identify that and take action. But for normal webmasters, it shouldn't be a big issue. It's just that the fake traffic that you shouldn't be getting anyway is now you're not getting that. So yeah, it's not. It shouldn't be a big issue. And generally, that traffic too would be. It's mostly done for irrelevant pages or like some hacker injected pages or something like that. So it should be fine.
Does that answer your question, Neeraj?
Yeah, sure. Right.
We have another question from David. I have a page on my site that gets a lot of repeat.
Sorry to interrupt.
Sorry, someone's asking a question.
Ashish, just want to ask the same kind of question that is related to the links that come to your website. So just wanted to know, I mean, if somebody linking to our website, let's say they are linking to our homepage, but it is something linking from the anchor that is not relevant for my homepage. For example, they are linking from, you can say, some keywords like, let's say, shoes or anything like that, but it is not something my homepage is known for. So if it's still I'm getting a link that is the anchor they are linking from is not relevant, Google still count as a valuable link, or is it something that, I mean, it's something else?
So see, if it's one or two links that someone mistakenly, link to your website, it shouldn't really matter. It shouldn't affect your rankings. It's just like one or two links. We don't that like it's sort of a drop in the ocean kind of thing. So that shouldn't matter. On the other hand, if you notice you actually getting a ton of, say, you have a website that's about selling shoes and you get a ton of links about buying essays from your website, then that's probably, it's not just bad links, it's probably there's probably some hacked pages on your website, and like there are some links that you and the user can't see, but like when you actually disable CSS, it's probably hidden under it and you can actually see all those bad links. So it's like depends. So if you see one or two links, maybe just do a quick check for if it's completely irrelevant, if there's some weird added injected pages on your site or not, and you can just like remove that hack or whatever.
Yeah, in general, Ramesh, I would say don't look at your links so closely, I mean, like tracking every link, where it is coming from, what anchor text they're using, and things like that, In general, Google is pretty good at, analyzing those links and using it for your site as relevant as possible. So you need not worry too much about it. I mean, it makes your life so difficult, without giving you concrete results, if you're tracking your links so closely, every link and stuff like that. So take it a little bit easy unless you find something very significant that is affecting your website. Otherwise, yeah, just relax.
We have a question from David. I have a page on my site that gets a lot of repeat direct traffic. Users are coming directly via their browser history and by typing URLs in address bar and not by searching. Can Google see that and improve quality of page website based on this data? So this doesn't really consider search, and so I don't think we are like the correct people to answer this question. So I mean, so when we look at it in terms of search, we probably look at like on-page signals, like if it's loading fast enough, if it's if users are liking the page, and then we look at links and stuff. But if someone's coming from like different browsers and that data, we probably don't. I mean, I don't know. I can't answer that question honestly. Okay, when user wants to go explicitly to my site via Google search on mobile, does it count towards the quality of the site same as if he wants to see my site on desktop? I'm not sure. Like, do you mean if he's on mobile? We generally try to give the mobile version of your website, and so while mobile ranking differs from desktop ranking in terms of if your site is mobile friendly or not, beyond that, like the core, content wise, relevancy wise, it should be the same. And regarding browsing data from Chrome browser used in web search, I am not sure. So I don't know if that's true. By the way, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. We still have quite some time. I think more than 35 minutes. Ramesh's question, keeping user experience in mind, should we focus on creatives, content, images to make the site attractive, or make it text heavy for better accessibility and search engine tracking? So,
Pass PageRank in those cases, right? Unless those are direct links, I would say you need not worry about those links.
yeah, so like I said, so in some cases it depends. If we can actually see the actual link, we can probably make a better call, because most ads, like, they go through different ad networks, and for those ad networks we obviously discount link factors. But if there is an ad network where you have explicitly placed text links that directly go to different sites, then that's clearly, they're trying to manipulate PageRank. So it's the intent behind the link that matters. If you're trying to just purely manipulate PageRank and try to rank an organic search, then that's bad. On the other hand, if it's just a harmless ad link and it won't, it's not for PageRank, but rather it's just an ad signal, then it should be fine. Will Google India ever return Hindi search results for English queries? For example, if I search on Google how to install WordPress, so will they return results with Hindi web pages and Hindi titles? I mean, it depends, right? So if you're searching on Google Hindi language, if you search for how to install WordPress, you probably won't get Hindi results, because there's like no Hindi content for that query. So like, if no one is writing how to install WordPress in Hindi, then like Google can't, like, we just can't find it, right? So
basically it will depend on the user setting on what language they're using. For example, if they have set their default language as Hindi for Google search, then we may try to show Hindi results, right? For even if the query is in English, but their setting is like Hindi, by default they're using Hindi, then probably if there are some relevant results in Hindi, if at all, then we may try to show those results, right? But otherwise, if you're on google.co.in and your language setting is English, your browser language setting is English, I mean, basically you're not telling Google in any way that you would prefer Hindi over any other language, then there is no reason for us to show a page in Hindi, right? In those cases, we will not show any Hindi pages.
Yes, but in case this is a news website, what I saw is they use title in English, they use content in Hindi, and in English setting of Google, they still rank for Hindi. They rank Hindi content for English queries.
Yeah, so that is what I'm saying. So basically, there may be websites that have, for example, the entire content on the page is written in Hindi script, but the title or the meta description or the heading of the post itself, they are in English, or they are bilingual, meaning some keywords are in English and then there is a Hindi version of the title and stuff like that. So those things are ranked for people for whom Hindi content may be relevant, right? So we look at signals for that user. When a user is searching, we will try to identify, like, okay, does this user prefer Hindi content over English content, right? If at all they do, I mean, one of the signals could be their language setting, Google search language setting, right? So if you see, okay, they have set their default language to Hindi, and there is this piece of content which is actually relevant and it is in Hindi, then we may show that content. And if I'm searching for the same content where I have my setting as English, right, then Google will show me purely English results, not Hindi results.
And one more problem I was facing was if I extend this website to any other country, like you can say that Bangladesh for Bangla content or like that. So the problem which was coming with me was declaration of this page. I was not able to understand that this page is for Hindi, but my page ranks for English queries. I get more traffic from English queries. So should I declare this page as Hindi India or English India or both?
Neeraj, I'm sorry, we lost your voice in between.
Sorry, can you hear me
Yes.
now?
We can hear you now. We lost you in between, so I missed a part of your question.
I just wanted to ask from you that if I extend it to other country like Bangladesh or Malaysia, so the problem was coming that if I am targeting this page or declaring this page in hreflang, I was not sure whether I should declare this as Hindi in India or English India or both.
Okay, so what, I mean, I would ask you this question. The primary content on your page, right? What language is it in?
Correct.
Right. If it is in Hindi, then you would declare that page as Hindi.
In India.
Sorry?
Still, it ranks in Google India English version news website. Ranks very good in Google India when I have setting default English. So when Bangladesh page, I have to declare this in hreflang.
Do you have a Bangla version of, I mean, Bengali version of this page?
Right, targeting Bangladesh, or you can say I want to extend this to other country.
Right.
So in that case, in Bangla page, what hreflang I would mention for this version?
Now, as I understand, you don't have an hreflang tag on this page, right?
Right.
Right. So by default, you're saying by default it is being understood as English. Right.
In English, Google it is ranking.
And the content is also in English or Hindi?
Content is in Hindi. Okay. Like in India, so many websites have Hindi content, but only English title and description.
Right. So I would say you should go ahead and declare this page as English, and when you're cross-referencing to the Bengali page, because this page is in Hindi, you should declare it as being in Hindi.
Hindi only.
Yes, because this page is in Hindi, right? Probably there are some content surrounding it which is in English. Probably you're using some keywords here and there. Maybe some part of navigation is in English, but the primary content is in Hindi.
Okay, so I was just thinking, like my traffic goes down in English version or in English Google.
You lost your voice again.
No, I get it. So I understand. So you're saying lose the traffic that you're getting from English, but I mean it's subjective, right? So if we find your content relevant, that's the only reason we are serving, like, you know, even Hindi results for English queries. Because your content is relevant and there's no other English content for those queries. So it's like someone's searching for like Hindi terms, and your content is showing up because in English there's nothing else that's relevant. So even if you change hreflang, as long as you know some other good English site doesn't come up with proper English content, you will be ranking. But ideally, like, I mean, even from Google's perspective, we'd probably prefer an English site to rank because that's what the user is probably looking for, because he's typing an English query, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. And on the other hand, if you like, because you want it to get, you know, you want it to rank, you're using English, you're setting English as default language when the content is in Hindi, then it can actually mess with like, you know, Google signals sometimes, you know, because we understand that your page's content is in Hindi, but you are telling us it's in English. So for some results we may not show your page because we are unsure about the content of your site. So I think let's just, like, you know, just if you want to declare, just declare it as the you know, whatever content your site is about. Or if you want to let things be, like, just don't declare anything. You know, let Google decide for itself. And if things are not going well for you, then maybe you can make a change. It's up to you.
Ashish, and is there any possibility that I declare this page for both Hindi in India, English India, or I should just stick with whatever the content is in language?
So you can't declare for both. Rather, you can create an actual English equivalent page, and you can declare that as the English version of this page. So I mean, that would be a lot of effort. So you have to actually create like proper new content again. So.
Neeraj, I think what is happening is your site is ranking even when the query is in English, probably because it includes some keywords that are related to Hindi, right? Although they are in English, probably your site is ranking because the users who are searching, probably their history shows that they read Hindi content, or they're giving a signal to Google that, okay, they are familiar with Hindi content, or they're looking for Hindi content or something like that, right? For purely English searchers, right? Somebody who searches anyways for that.
I got it. Means I have to declare Hindi India
Yeah.
for this page. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. We have a question from Chami regarding to syndicated content. Example, say site A is original, site B is syndicated. Site B points to site as original, but site B points using hreflang en-ca. Site B URL. Is that misled or confusing Google spots different signals thoughts? So I am assuming, like you're saying, site B is pointing to site A as a canonical while using hreflangs en-ca and site B. So that is fine, because generally many times people like sort of paste, if they have say example.com and then they have hi.example.com, ko.example.com, and on the home page they'll probably do, like from on example.com itself, they'll say that the canonical version of this is example.com, and they'll say that the Korean version of this is ko.example.com and the Hindi version is hi.example.com, and they'll paste the same 3 links in all the other 3 pages head sections. While you don't need to point like while the canonical, if you point on example.com itself, if you point to example.com as canonical, we won't consider that link. So while we won't think, we won't give any positive attributes to that link, we won't consider it as something bad also. It won't confuse us, if that's what you're asking. I hope I answered your question.
So, yeah, just wanted to ask this question. Our product feeds are used by many aggregator sites, or you can say affiliate websites. So can we just tell them to, instead of creating their individual pages of our products, they can actually set up canonical on their product to our product pages, so that the Google can know, these pages are actually belong to this site, and they actually start giving value to those ones instead of the affiliate sites or any sort of aggregate sites.
So it depends. Like many people create affiliate sites because they think they can provide some sort of value add which the original site is not providing. Sort of like maybe comparison between different products, or like they have a nice UI where people can see 4 products at once or something like that. So that's what affiliate sites are for. While if you give canonical, if you say this page is canonical, then it means Google won't even consider those affiliate product URLs. So, like, at least from a search engine perspective, it's like that page won't even show up. Their page won't even show up in search engines, because if you say that all of these 5 pages, just this page is canonical, what's the point for Google to show the remaining 4 pages, right? So it depends. Like what do your affiliate sites, what do they want to do, and do they think their sites provide some value add that's different to your site? So if that's the case, then they probably would not want to mark your site as canonical. And if the content, if there's a huge difference in content, you shouldn't be marking it as canonical anyway, because there's clear unique content that could be useful to the user. Okay, next question from Neeraj. What are your opinions on relative versus absolute linking in terms of SEO benefits?
Well, they have no, we have no preference in, if you're linking it, if you're using a relative link or an absolute link in your HTML, it doesn't make a difference, right? It's your preference, it's your choice. Ultimately, it is how your service is configured, for example, right? And it is based on the convenience of your team, your infrastructure, and things like that. And it does not reflect in terms of ranking or SEO or anything.
Yeah, and things like page color. Okay, so like Syed said, regarding absolute and relative links, it's about your site's configuration and everything. So it doesn't, from SEO perspective, it's like it won't give you extra ranking benefits. So yeah, it's up to you. Like, I mean, there's no ranking benefits, and there used to be some techniques called page sculpting and something that a few years back, but those don't work now either. Okay, another question. So we have a question in Hindi in chat. Let me just take that. So, sorry.
Yeah, so the question, there are a couple of questions in Hindi actually. Okay, the question is, अगर हम अपने हिंदी आर्टिकल को मल्टीपल जी प्लस कम्युनिटीज पर शेयर करते हैं तो क्या ये स्पैमिंग है? अगर हम अपने हिंदी आर्टिकल को मल्टीपल जी प्लस कम्युनिटीज पर शेयर करते हैं तो ओके, ठीक है, तो हम इसका जवाब हिंदी में देंगे क्योंकि ये क्वेश्चन हिंदी में है। तो क्वेश्चन ये है कि अगर आपका आर्टिकल आप कई जी प्लस कम्युनिटीज पे शेयर करते हो तो क्या ये स्पैमिंग है? नहीं, बिल्कुल भी नहीं, ये स्पैमिंग नहीं है। इनफैक्ट अगर आप कम्युनिटीज में शेयर करते हो तो ये अच्छी चीज है। आपको अपने कंटेंट को कम्युनिटीज में एडवर्टाइज करना चाहिए और लोगों तक पहुंचाना चाहिए, अपने ब्रांड को बिल्ड करना चाहिए। और ये सिर्फ जी प्लस ही नहीं, अगर आप कोई और अदर सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म अगर यूज कर रहे हो तो वहां पर भी आप शेयर कर सकते हो और इसके अतराफ में डिस्कशंस जनरेट कर सकते हो, यूजर फीडबैक ले सकते हो और वो सब लेकर अपनी साइट को इम्प्रूव कर सकते हो, अपने कंटेंट को इम्प्रूव कर सकते हो।
But of course, if it's not relevant, if you're posting irrelevant posts to, like say in a cars forum, you're posting about SEO.
आशीष जी ये कहना चाहते हैं कि अगर आप अपने पोस्ट को अपना जो पोस्ट है वो कोई ऐसे कम्युनिटीज पे पोस्ट कर रहे हो जो रिलेवेंट नहीं है, ठीक है, यानी कि आप सारे कम्युनिटीज पे जाकर स्पैम कर रहे हो, ठीक है, तो वो अच्छी बात नहीं है। इससे हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि आपकी रैंकिंग इफेक्ट होगी, लेकिन डेफिनेटली अगर मतलब आपका रेप्यूटेशन जो है वो खराब होगा आपके यूजर्स में, यूजर्स के बीच, और वो आपकी साइट को लाइक नहीं करेंगे डेफिनेटली। तो ये हमें अवॉइड करना चाहिए। अगर आप सिर्फ अपने पोस्ट्स को सिर्फ वहीं पर पोस्ट करिए, वही कम्युनिटीज में पोस्ट करिए जो आपकी कम्युनिटी के रिलेवेंट है और जिसके यूजर्स ऐसे पोस्ट चाहते हैं और एनकरेज करते हैं।
We have another question from Nishit. Is it good to add both of the example.com www and non-www in search console? If yes, is it necessary to have 300 redirect for non-preferable domain? Sure. So, like, I mean, that's what we recommend. So you like whichever domain you prefer, whichever domain you prefer, you redirect the non-preferable one to the preferred domain, and you do add both versions of your site in Search Console. And in fact, if you have other versions like your mobile site, say m.example.com, do verify that also. So that's when we understand that all three of these sites are yours. And just for your canonical, so if you see any data regarding search metrics, we'll probably show them properly only for the canonical version of your site. So it's good to redirect, it's good to verify all versions of your site in Search Console. Okay, I have another question from Ramesh. By the way, we have a couple people who joined us in Hangout recently. If you have any questions, do ask them live. So if you don't, we'll just keep taking the questions in the Q&A app. Okay, Ramesh asks, what's the best way to promote a content that will help us for brand awareness traffic? So I've already answered this. I mean, like, from brand awareness and such perspective, we are not the correct people to answer these questions, because I mean, that's something that you should discuss with marketing and some other, like, I don't know, branding programs, I guess. So we can strictly speak about, like, whether you can optimize the site for Google or not, but these campaigns and stuff, we are not the correct people to do. Neeraj has a question on page quality. How do I judge page quality when I can only see ranking and traffic? Is the search engine ranking only a parameter to judge this after page rank removed from Google's? Sorry, it's a bit confusing. Can you like ask this question again, Neeraj?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Actually, recently, uh, this was completely removed page rank toolbar and in toolbar without updating. So the problem with Webmaster, hello?
Yes.
Yeah, so the problem with Webmaster is coming that we have only
Okay. Your
links are coming to this page.
voice broke in between. Sorry.
Sorry?
Your voice broke in between.
Yeah, Ashish, actually after removal of page rank tool, we don't have any tool to just identify what the value of this page is accepted except traffic and links.
Okay.
So
I understand.
it becomes very tough for us to judge
I get
what
it.
is the
You want to
value.
know if, like, from Google's perspective, if we think a page, what's like a number for a page quality? Now that we don't
Right.
have to rank it. Uh, I don't think you should look at numbers often, that because that, I mean, it's better not to look at page numbers and stuff. Rather, look at what kind of queries you get. I mean, for that page in Search Console, sort of like try looking at what kind of queries it's ranking for, and if your content, just like, from a user's perspective, the content is good or not. So that should be good enough, because PageRank, like we keep repeatedly saying, it's just one of 200 or like 200 signals. So if you, sometimes people can mistakenly judge that a page is high quality because just from PageRank. So I wouldn't say that's a good practice. So it's better. PageRank is, you can think that, okay, this page has 6 PageRank, it's maybe good, but you should consider the other factors also.
So Neeraj, I think, yeah, I mean, you're worrying too much about the page rank. First of all, what we need to understand about the page rank is it's a rank based out of like what types of links, how many links, what is the quality of those links, and things like that, right? It is based out of that. This does not mean that your page will rank, right? Because if you have a page rank, the highest page rank possible, for example, your page, but if your page is not relevant, it will never rank, right? For the queries that it is not relevant, or to the users it is not relevant, right? So I think probably it's a good thing that we are no more updating the toolbar page rank, because you can now relax and focus on what needs to be focused on, right? So do not worry about page rank a lot. And if you're worried about, I mean, if you want to see what type of, I mean, quality content you have on your pages, I mean, to determine the quality of your pages, PageRank is again not a good metric to look at, because it is not talking about the quality on your page. Rather, it is about links to your pages, right? So we have an article published, I think, back in 2012, which talks about 23 points, I think, the 23 questions that you may ask about your content to determine if your content is really good quality or not. So I would refer you back to that article, right? Or probably at the end of this hangout, Ashish will post a link in the comments.
Actually, I can just do that now. So
yeah, to that article. So go through that article, go through those points. It gives you, some questions that you can ask yourself about the quality of your content. Right, and this should be helpful in identifying if your content is good quality or not.
okay. So we have another question in chat from Avinash on how does Google differentiate between quality content and poor content. So I've just posted the link on what we consider high quality. So like you can just take a look at that and just just maybe like cross verify each like all the major pages on your site against this article and see if you're meeting the requirements or not. We have another question in Hindi. एक डोमेन में एक ही आर्टिकल को हिंदी और इंग्लिश में बनाना हो तो क्या सावधानी रखें? So you mean like in the same domain you want to have
so basically हाँ, the question है कि अगर आपकी साइट में आपकी साइट एक ही डोमेन है, एक ही डोमेन नेम है, लेकिन आप उसके अंदर अपने कंटेंट के दो वर्जन्स रखना चाहते हो, फॉर एग्जांपल एक अंग्रेजी में और एक हिंदी में, तो उसके लिए क्या प्रिकॉशंस लिए जाएं, क्या सावधानी रखें? तो इसके अंदर अच्छी बात यह है कि अगर आप ये दोनों सेक्शंस जो अलग अलग लैंग्वेजेस के हैं, अगर इसको सेपरेट रखें, ठीक है, यानी कि एक एग्जांपल मैं देता हूं, फॉर एग्जांपल अगर आपकी साइट है mywebsite.com, तो आपका इंग्लिश वर्जन आप फॉर एग्जांपल en.mywebsite.com पर रख सकते हो और अपना हिंदी वर्जन hi.mywebsite.com पर रख सकते हो, या फिर सब डोमेन्स के बजाय आप सब डायरेक्टरीज भी यूज कर सकते हो। लेकिन ये एक बेस्ट प्रैक्टिस है कि आप अपने दोनों लैंग्वेजेस के कंटेंट को अलग अलग रखें, क्योंकि इससे आपके यूजर्स को भी बहुत आसानी होती है कंटेंट ब्राउज करने में, ठीक है, और वो जानते हैं कि मतलब हिंदी कंटेंट एक्सेस करने के लिए हमको ये यूआरएल पर जाना है, वहां पे सारा हिंदी कंटेंट मिलेगा और इंग्लिश कंटेंट ये यूआरएल पर मिलेगा। तो वो एक बेनिफिट है और आपकी इंटरनल टीम्स भी अच्छी तरह उसको हैंडल करने में आसानी हो जाती है। दूसरी बात ये है कि अगर आप एक ही आर्टिकल को दो लैंग्वेजेस में प्रोवाइड कर रहे हो, तो आप hreflang टैग्स का उपयोग करें और गूगल को बताएं कि ये एक ही आर्टिकल है लेकिन दो अलग अलग लैंग्वेजेस में, ठीक है। अगर आप hreflang टैग नहीं यूज करते हो तब भी गूगल जान जाता है कि ये अलग अलग सेम आर्टिकल के अलग अलग वर्जन्स हैं, लेकिन ये 100% ऑफ टाइम्स जो है गूगल ठीक तरह से जान नहीं पाता है, ठीक है। तो अगर आप hreflang टैग यूज करते हो तो इसमें गूगल को आपका कंटेंट समझने में मदद होती है और वो उसी तरह से कंटेंट को रैंक कर सकता है। फॉर एग्जांपल इस आर्टिकल को हिंदी यूजर्स के लिए आपका हिंदी आर्टिकल बताएगा और अंग्रेजी यूजर्स के लिए आपका अंग्रेजी वर्जन बताएगा, तो इस तरह से हेल्प हो जाती है। तो आप इन दो बातों को ध्यान में रखें।
Have another Hindi question in the chat. We just stop with this question because we are out of time. So, क्या इंटरनेट पर लेंथी आर्टिकल्स का ट्रेंड कम हुआ है मोबाइल यूजर्स बढ़ने की वजह से? आर्टिकल वर्ड लिमिट के लिए टिप्स देंगे आप?
तो हाँ, क्वेश्चन है कि जो लंबे लंबे आर्टिकल्स होते हैं, बहुत ही लंबे आर्टिकल्स होते हैं, उसका ट्रेंड्स क्या कम हुआ है क्योंकि बहुत सारे यूजर्स आजकल इंटरनेट मोबाइल डिवाइसेस पे यूज कर रहे हैं, और आर्टिकल में कितने वर्ड्स होने चाहिए उस पर कुछ एडवाइस दें। तो सबसे पहले जहां तक मैं पर्सनली देख रहा हूँ, ये आर्टिकल मतलब ये लंबे आर्टिकल का जो ट्रेंड है वो खत्म नहीं हुआ है, ना कि कम हुआ है। उसका एक अपना उपयोग है। लंबे आर्टिकल्स होने की कुछ वजह होती है, बहुत सारे गाइड्स होते हैं और वो कंटेंट जो कंज्यूम करते हैं वो चाहते हैं कि आर्टिकल्स उतने लंबे हों क्योंकि वहां पर जरूरत होती है लंबे आर्टिकल्स की। तो चाहे वो मोबाइल पर पढ़ रहे हो आर्टिकल या फिर अपने लैपटॉप पर पढ़ रहे हो, उस तरह का इंफॉर्मेशन उस फॉर्म में कंज्यूम किया जाता है और वो अप्रोप्रिएट फॉर्म है तो वो कंटिन्यू होता है, ठीक है। और दूसरी बात, आपका सवाल कि आर्टिकल में कितने शब्द होने चाहिए, ठीक है, उसकी लिमिट क्या है? ऐसी कोई भी लिमिट नहीं है, ठीक है। गूगल कोई भी लिमिट रिकमेंड नहीं करता है। हम क्या रिकमेंड आपको करते हैं कि आप अपने यूजर्स के बारे में सोचिए जब आप कंटेंट बना रहे हो, तो आप मतलब उनके लिए किस फॉर्म में आर्टिकल अगर दें तो उनके लिए बेहतर होगा। आप इस बात को अपने ध्यान में रखें जब आप आर्टिकल बना रहे हो। तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक एग्जाम्पल मैं देता हूं। समझ लीजिए कि एक आप ट्यूटोरियल बना रहे हो कि कोई सॉफ्टवेयर कैसा यूज करें। एक सॉफ्टवेयर है, आप उसका ट्यूटोरियल बना रहे हैं, ये कैसे यूज करें, ठीक है। तो आपको उसके अंदर स्क्रीनशॉट्स के साथ एक एक स्टेप्स के साथ अगर आप डिस्क्राइब करते हो, आपकी यूजर्स के लिए अच्छा होगा, ना कि अगर आप एक 4 लाइन की समरी लिखते हो, ठीक है। तो उस टाइप के कंटेंट के लिए आपको थोड़ा सा लंबा आर्टिकल लिखना पड़ेगा। लेकिन दूसरी तरफ अगर आप कुछ ऐसी बात के बारे में समझ लीजिए कि आपकी कंपनी में कुछ छोटा सा अपडेट है और उस अपडेट के बारे में आप उस अपडेट को अपने यूजर्स तक पहुंचाना चाहते हो, तो उसके लिए एक छोटी सी समरी काफी हो जाएगी, ना कि उसके बारे में बहुत सारे डिटेल। ठीक है, तो ये कंप्लीटली डिपेंड करता है कि आप क्या लिख रहे हो, किसके लिए लिख रहे हो। तो ये इसका डिसीजन बस आप लोग ही ले सकते हैं, ना कि गूगल आपको एडवाइस नहीं दे सकता इसके ऊपर।
Thanks for joining, guys. So
there are a few more questions left in the Q&A app and in the chats, I think. But since we are running out of time, we may not be able to answer those right now. So we apologize. But we will look forward, for you guys to come on, join our next hangout, which will be probably at the end of next month, right? And we may also be doing hangout exclusively in Hindi, right? So meaning you can ask your questions either in English or in Hindi, but we will be answering only in Hindi, right? So that will also happen sometime next month. So keep looking forward to these hangouts and join and ask these questions again, and hopefully you'll answer those questions.
And you can also put forward, like if it's a pressing issue, you can always put forward these questions in the forum or in the community, so we can just drop by and answer if no one's answering.
Great, thanks for joining.
Thanks, guys.
See you soon again.
Thanks, see you.